If you've got to go through an election, these guys go through so much trouble with their elections. They strive, and it's cutthroat, trying to get that position of power. That should be a bit of a sign for people. These guys are that desperate to get put me in control. Put me there. I'll claw anybody and rip anybody's throat out to get there because I'm the good guy. Vote for me. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. You know, that should be a sign. I mean, it's a giveaway, folks. Anybody who wants the gig is just simply not acceptable. You know, if they want power over you, well, you know, you want to give it to them? Come on, folks. It's ridiculous. So, we need to, yeah, absolutely have some wise people, but if we had common law and we had this instilled into people and part of your schooling was learning how to grow food and learning how to get along with the community and gaining the understanding that one of the best things you can do in life is to make the lives of others easier because you existed. If you make one life better because you were in the world, then you've been a successful person. If everybody had that understanding instilled into them from birth, and to serve the creation, but not at the expense of the self, be a doorway, not a doormat, some basic understandings, we could literally change the world. We would have such a different society. But we have a system that is designed to create sociopaths from birth, and to believe that, you know, you claw over anybody you can. There's a sucker born every minute. Take them for what you can, and the one with the most wins. That's what we've been led to believe society and life is all about, and it's simply not true. And it's been purposely done, and it's designed to remove us from the connection we have with each other and to remove us from ever looking within to find the wonders that lie there and to find the true connection we have with all reality. That's what it's all designed to do. And the system itself is the basic system of control. Everyone's worried about this system of control coming in place. Well, folks, it's already here. It's been here for a long time. And it's working quite fine simply by most people's perception of reality. You can tell that it's working quite fine. Everyone thinks this system's real, but they are literally living within a matrix. And the world is nothing like what it should be.
Yeah, it's almost a symptom of flawed consciousness, as Karl Marx puts it, even though his own system obviously has been shown to fail and is very oppressive. But people literally believe that the way things are in terms of competition and this system called capital, that it's just part of our kind of human condition. They've been sort of led into believing that that's just who we are as a natural, the way we're born. And there's nothing else that we're capable of. And I've always found that quite insulting. It's never sat with me from being a child. But as I've grown older, I've started to tune into some of your works and other people's works, and you realise that actually, no, a bit of idealism, it is a good thing, and you're not a freak, and the more people that get into it, then we can crack it.
Oh, we can. We certainly don't need the system that we've got now. I mean, some of Karl Marx's ideas are okay, but I mean, true communism was never put in place. There was a ruling class. Yeah. There was this socialistic government. There was basically socialism. What was presented to the world as communism. It wasn't communism at all. I've lived on communes, and there's nothing wrong with that. If we had tribal communes and they went out around the world, that'd be fine. But that's, and they'd probably call that communism. But I don't know. That's to me what communism is. Would be living in a communal situation. I don't know if communism is the right word. I just call it freedom. If we were living in a system of anarchy, in a system of self-governance, in a system where we had an administrative body and we had a group of elders, I can see nothing wrong with that system. We would probably have more technology and more science than we've got now. We'd probably be living in a situation like the Jetsons by now, if we were allowed to have free technology. I mean, all the work of Tesla, Victor Schauberger, Royal Rife, all of these people, these brilliant minds, all this technology that have been suppressed. We could have all of that, and we could be exploring space. We could be exploring both inner and outer space, free to do so, free to take humanity and all the planet and all society to its highest potential. But instead we're enslaved to a corrupt monetary system. We're fed trinkets from dime stores and cheap stores, and we spend our life dragging resources out of the planet and turning it into throwaway junk that ends up on a trash heap. You go to any cheap shop in town and it's just full of stuff that you look at it and you go, why did someone make this? What is this? Some really badly made furniture and just, You think some tree's been pulped to make this thing that's going to last a week and then get thrown on a trash heap. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, when you're in the survival mode, which you placed in terms of this construct, then you're operating on a lesser capacity in terms of inspiration, and you'll do any job to pass the time by and to pay the bills. So that's where obviously the stunted growth comes in. And how if we talk about getting together, opening ourselves up, and using this, I believe there's technology hidden from us, and that's well documented. What we could do with this stuff if we're working together.
Oh, absolutely. We had to do far more, even, with the technology that we've even got now. If we were a free and open society, we could do so much more with it than what we do. And people have to work in these cheap stores and have to make all this cheap junk and have to trash the forest because they're enslaved to the dollar. They're enslaved to paper. They have to collect paper in order to have everything that is here in abundance for them. They've been convinced into believing that none of it is actually available to them unless they have this paper. Money is an ancient druidic talisman for control, and money is designed to keep people in a state of shortage. That's all it is. I mean, ultimately, we don't even need money. If we had no money, people would make things anyway. They'd still be inventing things because, as I said, people like to invent things. And, once we've invented things, well, okay, part of the schooling and part of the teaching, we can mass produce a bunch of these things, make them last forever so that everyone's got one. We don't have to make it disposable. We find ways of producing these things in a free society without money, I'm sure. Because if we had a proper education system and people grew up understanding what reality was and what their relationship to everybody else was, well, they'd want to help. That just would be a natural course of events. People say humans are inherently greedy and they're inherently bad and all this stuff. I don't believe that. I believe they're trained to be greedy, they're trained to be bad, they're trained to be sociopaths. I believe that if they were properly educated in the truth of reality and the truth about themselves and the truth of their connection to others, then we wouldn't have any of the problems that we face and that we would help each other. I believe humanity would, the sky's the limit. The potential is amazing for this species if we would simply connect with each other, break down these walls of division, realise that this entire system is fictional. The legal system, the money system, the social system, they're all fictional. All of them are fictional. They're all designed for division. Look within, connect with those around us. I mean, that's really the key, Anthony. It's the key to the whole thing. And we could do it. We could do it over one generation, maybe 2 generations. We could re-educate all of humanity into the true nature of reality, and we could literally change our whole way of thinking. But we need to have a free system now in order to start it. The only way we're going to have a free system is to address the shadow, address the problems that we face, which is namely the corruption within government. Realise that it's not a breach of national security to question the government. They train us into believing it is, but it's not. We are the nation. It's a breach of national security having criminals in the government, to be quite honest. And we need to address this. Yeah, we need to address this situation.
Yeah.
I don't want to send them to jail or anything. I'll just give them a slap on the wrist and tell them to go live in the western suburbs on a minimum wage for a while. See what it's like. Go live on Christmas Island or something with the other politicians. Give you all a hammer and you can have your war if you like,
Yeah, I think obviously they've got their own sort of karma and issues to deal with if and when they ever wake up. But you were talking about how and when this could happen in a few generations. I have quite a bit of experience working with young people in a professional capacity, but I have a serious sort of passion and optimism for our generation. I mean, there's been quite a lot of civil disobedience and some uncivil disobedience in this country, but I happen to believe that these are major players. The young people are going to be some of the ones that are going to bring us forward into a better reality.
Absolutely. This is the time. This is the moment of transition that we're in right now. Many people have come here, I believe, to come into this reality at this time. Excuse me, in order to help with this transition, in order to open up this understanding in people. And I think that the younger generation is seriously waking up to what's going on. I think that's one of the reasons why this whole WikiLeaks thing's gone down, to try to censor the internet, because there's a lot of people getting this information now. My website gets like thousands of hits every day. My YouTube videos all go viral. I get hundreds of emails all the time from people who listen to the show. So I know the word's getting out there. I have people who have been making torrents out of my shows as well. And so I know the word's getting out to everybody. A lot of people are waking up. And I think that's what they're really trying to squash things down now. That's why they're moving so fast. Everything that they're trying to implement now, the spy planes they've just brought in over the United States. They want to bring in blood tests in the United States as well.
Wow.
For drivers, you know.
Well, yeah, it's the kind of profiling and intimidation. I mean, the TSA stuff that you've talked about previously is disgusting, but there's now talk of bringing TSA into malls, as well as that Neapolitano character who's acting as big sister, telling people to spy on each other. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is Gestapo stuff. This is exactly what the Nazis did. This is why our parents fought World War II, apparently, to prevent us from ever being subject to this type of activity from our private security forces, which is essentially what the Gestapo was. They were a domestic security force operating under the jurisdiction of the Department of Fatherland Security. Okay, so in America we've got the Department of Homeland Security, and we've got all these little Gestapo agencies springing up. You know, the TSA, the NSA, you know, everywhere. It's all over the place. The FDA, the food Gestapo now, preventing people from growing organic food and selling organic cheese and all this sort of stuff. The FCC wanting to control the internet. These are all Gestapo tactics, the whole thing. This is everything that we saw in World War II. World War II was basically a beta test. They ran it all in Germany. They sussed out which chemicals work for mind control, such as fluoride and all these sorts of things. They used them in the death camps, you know. And they said, okay, well, this is how you brainwash a nation. And now we can use this event to set up Israel, which we can set up to be completely free of all scrutiny, you know, because under the guise of protecting the Jews. So we'll send all these Ashkenazis down there, and we'll use this as a weapons lab, and we can use this to create massive amounts of instability. And you'll find that Mossad are responsible for most of the global terrorism that's carried out around the world. And they used it as a beta test. And then the very people who financed both sides of the war and financed the whole German regime, the same banking cartels that financed America, you know, America gave all this stuff to the Germans in World War II. You know, Ford Motor Company provided all the steel. IG Farben provided all the chemicals. They couldn't even fly the Luftwaffe without a special fuel additive they were getting off Standard Oil, which is Rockefeller's oil company. So, you know, the American war, the German war effort would never even have got off the ground and functioned if it wasn't for all its American support and all its support from European banking cartels. I mean, Hitler's banker himself was Prescott Bush, who's the grandfather of George W. Bush. And he worked for Union Bank and did the whole thing. So, I mean, it's all well documented. That's how it was all done. And then America comes in as the white knight on the charger and saves us all from this terrible menace. And then says, okay, in order to protect you, we're going to have to put military bases all around the world. We'll form the United Nations to make sure that we'll never have another war like this. And we've meanwhile gone out and had 258 conflicts since they formed the United Nations, which is more wars than in Earth's entire recorded history prior to that point. So that's a bit of a sign for people too there. Another little bell there, folks, you know.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, I mean, they're just little signs that people don't see. Oh, gee, 258 conflicts for 1947. That seems normal, doesn't it, you know?